So, what comes to mind when you think of a camel? Probably some slow, plodding creature in the middle of a desert, right? But what if I told you that's like judging a superhero by their boring day job? Because the camel, well, it's hiding some of the most amazing secrets in the entire animal kingdom. Okay, let's get into it.
First up, a question that sounds like the beginning of a very painful joke. How does an animal eat a plant that's literally covered in sharp spikes? And I don't mean just taking a little nibble. I mean devouring the whole thing.
And then there's the one we all think we know the answer to. What is really going on with that famous hump? I'll give you a hint. Whatever you learned about it in school, it's probably wrong.
And here's the biggest twist of all. Forget the Sahara, forget all the deserts you know. The camel's true origin story starts somewhere completely, and I mean completely, unexpected. It's a place that's going to change everything you think you know about them. Okay, so back to that first question. How on earth do they eat a cactus? To figure that out, we have to look inside one of the most brilliantly bizarre mouths in all of nature. You see, this isn't just about being tough. It's a total masterpiece of biological engineering. A camel's mouth is specifically designed to disarm and eat plants that would absolutely shred any other animal's insides.
It's really a three-part system. First, the whole inside of their mouth is lined with this super tough, leathery armor. Then you've got these cone-shaped things called papillae, and they all point backwards, basically guiding the cactus down the throat nice and safe. And finally, their jaws are so powerful they just crush the entire plant, spines and all. And just when you think their mouth couldn't get any weirder, get this. Male dromedary camels have something called a dullah. When it's mating season, they inflate this huge pink sac right out of the side of their mouth. They drool, they make these gurgling noises. It's basically their way of showing off for the ladies and scaring off other guys. Think of it as their version of a flashy sports car.
All right, now let's tackle the biggest myth of them all, that famous camel hump.
For pretty much forever, we've been told a camel's hump is just a big, sloshing water bag. I mean, it makes sense, right? A desert animal needs to store water. But it's totally false. The hump is actually a massive store of fat. It's like a giant biological power bank on its back. So here's how this power bank works. When there's no food around, the camel's body starts to metabolize all that fat, which is packed with energy. But here's the really cool part. When its body breaks down that fat, one of the byproducts is water. So the hump is a source of water, just not at all in the way we thought. It's an engine that produces both fuel and its own water exhaust. Okay, so that leads to the next obvious question, right? If it's just body fat, why not spread it out all over its body, like, most other mammals do? Why pile it all up in one or two giant humps?
And the answer is just genius. Fat is an insulator. It traps heat. So if a camel had a layer of fat all over its body in the scorching desert, it would literally overheat and die. By putting all that insulating fat on its back, the rest of its body can let heat escape much more easily, keeping it cool. The hump is both a pantry and a really clever air conditioner, all in one. And now for the part of the story that honestly sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. I need you to forget everything you think you know about where camels come from, because this is the ultimate plot twist.
Yep, you heard that right. Camels are not from Africa. They're not from Asia. Camels are American. Their entire long evolutionary journey started right here in North America millions of years before they ever saw a desert.
And the first camels looked nothing like they do today. I want you to picture this, a small, kind of slender, almost gazelle-like creature with no hump living in the deep green forests of ancient North America. They weren't made for sand and sun, they were made for forests and shade. So, how did this little forest animal turn into the globe-trotting desert survivor that we know today? Well, it was one heck of an epic journey.
So, over millions of years, these early camels evolved. They diversified. Some of them actually became these gigantic giraffe-like creatures. Then, around 3 million years ago, land bridges started to form. Some camels went south, and they eventually became the llamas and alpacas we see in South America. Others went west, across the Bering Land Bridge into Asia. And then comes the biggest irony. After basically conquering the world, they went completely extinct in their original home, North America.
But here is the most incredible part of the story. How did a journey through forests and ice ages end up creating the perfect desert animal? The answer is this really cool phenomenon called pre-adaptation. Basically, all the features that camels evolved to survive the super cold, harsh climates they pass through, well, by an amazing stroke of evolutionary luck, those same features turned out to be the perfect tools for surviving extreme desert heat. Okay, check this out. That thick, shaggy fur that kept them warm in the freezing cold, turns out it's amazing at reflecting sunlight and insulating their skin from the blazing hot ground. And those wide, flat feet that basically worked like snowshoes so they wouldn't sink into the snow, well, they work perfectly as sand shoes, spreading their weight so they can just glide over the dunes.
And then we have to talk about water. A human is in serious, serious trouble if they lose just 10% of their body's water. A camel can lose up to 30% of its body weight in water and just keep on walking. That's a level of dehydration tolerance that is almost impossible to believe.
And the list of superpowers just keeps going. They can let their body temperature swing wildly to avoid sweating and save water. They have 2 rows of long eyelashes that act like perfect sand goggles. They can completely seal their nostrils shut during a sandstorm. Even their split upper lip is designed to catch any moisture from their own breath and funnel it right back into their mouth. Absolutely not a single drop is wasted.
So, the camel is this living, breathing story of an epic journey, one filled with survival, adaptation, and just incredible luck. It really makes you rethink what you know, and it asks a pretty fantastic question. If an animal this common has a story this wild, what other incredible secrets is the world hiding right in front of our eyes?